Okay, we can start. So, today's topic is SSH. So, yesterday we have seen sudo. How to run anything as a super user using sudo. How to give sudo permissions to some user. To use that command. By default, we can't use that. Obviously, it asks for a password. So even if you give the password, it won't work because the user has to have permissions in sudoers file. So in that and cron job, okay, that's also one thing to automate anything in our Linux machine. This today what we're going to discuss is SSH, which is a pretty how can I say a common thing. I would say pretty common thing. Everyone uses this. What everyone uses means if you logged into a Linux machine, then you have used SSH. You must use this service. SSH. So every day I used to log in with this command to Linux machine to the EC2 server which I created in there. If you observe that this is the command I'm using. So today we'll discuss this SSH, what it is, what it does, and everything. So let's start. SSH is secure shell. It's actually a protocol, simply call it a service like that, where it allows us to connect to a remote machine securely. A remote Linux machine to be clear. So with this protocol, with this SSH, we can able to connect to a remote Linux machine. So I have a Linux machine somewhere. I know the details. I know the username and password. How to connect to the Linux machine through SSH only. How do you log into Windows? You open the UI, you give your username, password, right? There also there will be some protocol where it allows us to log in. Of course, not SSH. Windows does not have SSH. It's a different protocol. I don't know what is that. So we give username and password to allow us to log in if it is correct and everything. Similar way in Linux also, we have this protocol SSH where we give the username and password or username and the key if the password does not exist or just username. We'll see that how to log in. So here what happens is we give the details and this protocol will allow us to log in if that details are correct. So this will what happens when you log in now. Let's say I logged into this Linux machine using this command. Forget about this what this command does, but for now what it will do is it will create a secure connection between you and the host. The server what you're trying to log in the remote machine, because it will secure it and it'll run the commands over encrypted connection. It'll create an encrypted connection when you logged into the machine, and whatever the commands you run, it'll run in that encrypted connection only, so that no third party person can see it. Earlier we used to use telnet. I think I told when I discussed the telnet command. Earlier we used to have telnet to log into the machine, but it's not secure. Let's say uh, two things are there: source and destination. Or let's say I'm talking on a phone. I called someone. I'm talking on a phone. If that line is not secure, anyone can listen to what we are talking, right? But by default, telnet is not like that. Telnet is open. Anyone can listen to what I'm talking on the phone. But with SSH, when you call someone, it will make it secure. That line, it will make it secure, and whatever you two are talking only known to you, not to the other person. That's why everyone moved to this one SSH from telnet. Of course, we still use telnet for the network communication check and all. Just that one command mostly. But yeah, SSH is became a default one for every authentication in Linux machine. So it's a protocol. By default, it will be installed in all the machines. You don't need to install. If it's not installed, you can do that. So as I told you, it's a protocol to log into remote machine securely. There will be a port number for this protocol. For every protocol, there will be a port number. We'll know more about these port numbers and all once we start going, service by service. But every protocol, there will be a port number. There are around, the default port range is 0265535, 65,534, something like that. Let's say I am just open this website. HTTPS, right? It is 443 port number. HTTP 80 port number. They are protocols. HTTP and HTTPS, they are protocols. We'll see that later. Or database is there, MySQL 3306, something like that. So for every protocol, there is a port number. So SSH also, port number is 22. But we don't mention that anywhere if you see here, because by default it will take 22 only, even if you don't mention it. By default it will take 22 only. If it is a different port number, let's say from 22 I change it to 24, just for example, then you have to mention it. If it is default, you don't have to mention. If it is not default, you have to mention it. Where we mention, how we mention, that we'll see slowly. But yeah, how SS works is how to log in. Simple one: SSH, user, IP address, or host name, whatever it is, whatever is available. That's the command. So when you execute this, it will ask for a password, and if you know the password, you can do it. You can log in. So that's the only command. But here in our situation, we don't have a password. Obviously, we have the key. Instead of a password, alternatively, people use the key also. Okay, I think I'm in a wrong path. Okay. So now I logged into server through SSH. Now what I told, from my laptop I logged into Linux machine. It created a secure connection to the machine, and through that connection I logged in, and I do whatever I want. So only I can see it, and system knows what I'm doing, not the other ones. So it's more secure. Here what's happening is SSH. Let's start with the configuration. What configuration it has? So every protocol like this, as I told you, will have a port number, will have a configuration file. So in Linux, all the configuration files present in etc/etc. There will be a lot. Forget about all those. There will be SSH folder. See, SSH. Like this, for every protocol, there will be a directory. There will be a folder. Inside that, there will be multiple files. And sshd_config. This is the file. This is the main configuration. This is the you can change anything related to SSH here. Like for example, let's say port 22. See here, it's default 22, and of course it's commented, because even though if you don't mention, it will be use the same port number. If you want to change it, let's say port, give it 24. That's it. You can able to log in with 24 now. Like that, you can able to do it. So everything will be present in this file. By default, there's one more thing I want to say, with SSH, you cannot log in with root directly by default from your laptop. Let's say you have the Linux machine, You can't simply direct login with root by default. It's prohibited. I mean, so permit root login is prohibited password. What happens is, to make it secure, I mean, to it disabled the root login by default. We can enable it instead of prohibit password. We can just keep it yes. It will allow root login, but by default it's blocked. So let's no one enables that. Let's keep it like that. Maybe unless for I mean just for testing we can able to do that, but not in real time. Yeah. So we'll keep it like that. So here there'll be more things actually. One more thing will be there. Password authentication. As of now, we are logging with the key. We'll see about authentication types. So key based authentication is one thing which have used just now, passing a key, and password authentication is one thing. So we have to give the password, and it will allow us to log in obviously. And password less authentication is also there. That also we'll see. So let's start from what is it? Key based authentication. So key based authentication means they have a key. I mean, I haven't created this. It's by AWS. Now we have just created it, but yeah, we can see that. So first is key based authentication, where we have to use the key to log in. Okay, this is same. Ubuntu use the username at, this is the host name, or you can able to use IP also. There will be IP address. This one, public IP address. I can use this also, no worries. Anything is fine. I'm telling you, host name or IP address, anything is fine. I can use this also. This won't change. This is your destination where you want to log in. So as which user you want to log in and where, and how you log in through SSH. Only this part, authentication part, will change. So now by default, I will log in through key pair. We call it a key pair, or of course PEM file you can call it, since it's ends with .pem. Because in here in AWS actually they don't have a password by default. But if you have apart from cloud and all, if you practice anywhere like on VMwares or anything, you'll get a password. Because while installing the operating system, you need to set the password. But in here they did not provide that option, so we have to use a key based authentication. Every time we have to use the key. Yes, I logged in. Now I logged into the machine using key. So now I'm as an Ubuntu user, just type ls. There will be a folder called .ssh. Just go inside. Authorized keys is there. So whatever I logged in right through .pem demo.pem, that key will be stored here. Authorized keys. See, demo. This key is stored. That's why we can able to log in. That's why we can able to log in. By default, we haven't added this. It will add by default. So here, what happens is like you're trying to log in through something, but the Linux machine has to allow that. Then only you can able to log in. Let's say I try with a demo or something, some wrong key pair name. Let's say 1. First, it itself says no such file directory. Sorry, there is no file. But even if you give, let's say you deleted this demo content from authorized keys, and you try to log in with the demo again, it won't work. Because this key, what you're trying, is not present in the machine, and it will throw error. Got it? So this is one way of logging in using a key pair. -i you have to pass, and you give the key path wherever it is. It's fine. Next, password authentication. Set a password to user and log in to the password. That also we can able to do it now. But before that, we have to enable the password authentication and set the password to user. Ubuntu user does not have a password, so far we haven't set it. Of course, root we can't log in through remotely. We disabled. I mean, by default it's disabled. We can do it, but it's disabled by default. So first we have to enable that password authentication, and yes, if we want root also we can enable, and we have to set the passwords for both users. Without password we can't log in, right? So how to set it? Does someone have a doubt? Microphone is on. So. All right. So password we have to set now password authentication, right? So we have to enable it and set the passwords. Go to the configuration path, open that file. We search for, don't go line by line. You know this password. See password authentication, just uncomment it. If it is comment, it's already yes, right, but it's commented, so it won't apply. Enable it. Password authentication, yes. Permit empty passwords, keep it as no only. Empty password means if there is no password, still it will allow. Do we need to allow the user to log in? No, obviously. And root, permit root login. Yeah, permit root login. Let's keep it yes for now. Don't do it in anywhere, but just for practice we're doing it. Permit root login yes means we are allowing root to log in to this machine remotely. Saved it. Let's see. That's it. That's the only thing. This is some extra thing in cloud we have to do. That's it. But normally it won't be there. Same thing. Password authentication. I'm enabling it. But in Linux or in AWS, there is some extra file. It came. So we have to enable there also. But generally it won't be there. This won't be there. This won't require. So now password authentication is enabled. Now what to do? Set the password. Pass WD. Ubuntu user password, right? Set password for root also. If I simply just executed pass WD, it will take root by default. So if you want to change the password some user, pass the username like this. If no user, just for root, just simply pass WD. Changed it. So now we can log in with password. No, still we can't, because we have changed the configuration file. Correct? In Linux, maybe starting with this is a new protocol. First time we're discussing protocol. We changed the configuration. Next, what we have to do is restart the service. What service? This SSH service. So there is a protocol as called SSH with the port number running on 22. There will be a service for that. Systemctl is a separate small topic. We'll see that. But this is a service, currently it's running. So the configuration has been changed, but this SSH won't pick up that until we restart this service. So when you restart this service, it will read the changes. No need to restart, or reload also fine. Let's see the status again. Yeah, it's running. So now I reloaded the configuration. Now it will read the updated configuration, whatever changes we did. So now it will allow. So we have enabled the password authentication, root permit also. Permit root login also we have enabled to log in root from remote machine to this. And Um, so next, what is it? We have reloaded the configuration because to reflect the changes whatever we did in the config file. Otherwise, it won't work. And finally, set the passwords. Now let's try. Let's get out of this machine. So now I don't want the key now because I have set the password right. It will ask for the password if there is no key. See, I logged in. No key. So far I've used key, but see, no key. Because we have enabled the password authentication mode, one of the method. Of course, you can still use the key also, that is also fine. Let's try use the key. See, you can still use the key, but it's completely fine. But we have another approach called password authentication. With password, we can able to log in. See, let's try with root. Root also enabled. Yeah, root I logged in, see, directly. But of course, do not log in with the root. Of course, we don't have access to log into root generally. So that's how we enable we enable the password authentication. We logged in. This is one approach. Another approach is using the key .fem file. .fem file usually AWS gave you. You haven't created that file. So that's about authentication, password authentication. Next, last one, passwordless authentication. Passwordless. What does it mean? Passwordless is you don't need password at all. How do I do that? How do I do that? How do I do that is just let me just check. Yeah. So what happens is in SSH there is one approach called, as I told you, passwordless authentication, where we create a key pair, we generate a key pair or create a key pair, both are same. So there will be we generate a key pair, it will create two things, public key and private key. So out of this, the public key, whatever it is there, we will share to the machine, to the Linux machine to which we want to log in without a password. Let's say there are two Linux machines as an example. From one Linux machine I want to log into another Linux machine. How to do that? By using SSH, obviously. Of course, by using the fem file. If you have fem file to the target remote machine, of course you can log in. If you have password enabled, of course you can log in. Let's say you don't have both. Every time password is fine, but you may log into the server 100 times a day. Every time you can't set a password. 1 2 3 4 5 admins 1 2 3 something. These are easy passwords, but that's okay. If you have some random password, every time you have to hit it, it will be, at one point we'll stop doing this. We need to stop doing this because it's repeating. I don't want to use the password as well as key pair also. That's the third approach. But will it be secure? That we'll see. So in order to achieve this thing, without a passwordless authentication, first we need to generate a key in our machine from where we want to log in. From your laptop or from some other Linux machine, anywhere. Not Windows. Windows does not have, Windows also you can try. But for now, let's focus on here. So, generate a key. Generate an SSH key. So when you generate it, it will create a public key and a private key. So public key you have to share to the target machine. So it means the Linux server, which one you want to connect to. So you have to share this public key, your public key, whatever you created, to that. At the time password is required, obviously. Once you shared it, it will store in a file called known underscore host. Known underscore host in .sh, sorry. This is the known underscore host file. See how many keys are there in my file, because these are all the keys storing in here where it is allowing us. So forget, sorry, let me clear. So in the known host file, it will store every key. What does it mean, every key? See, currently what you did, you shared the public key. Some other user shared the public key to log into that machine. Let's say we have production machine. Everyone wants to log into that, obviously, right? So my team wants to log in. We have 10 members. Everyone generate their own keys with, and they share the public key to that server, and that server will store all the keys whatever it shared in the file called known host. Known host file. It will be present inside .ssh. So why it is storing? Because it needs to allow, right, login. So now once my public key is shared, I'm trying to log in. Obviously for the first time it will ask for the password for authentication, and it will validate it. Okay, how it will validate is, okay, this guy shared the public key to me because it's present in the known host file, so allow him. If it is not present, block him. So that's why it is important. And here there are two things I told you: key pairs, public and private. Public I share it to Linux server because to log into that machine. But what private does? Private, private we don't do that. Do anything with the private. Linux server will do that. See, you are trying to log into the machine. Let's say that Linux machine, whatever it is, it has the public key already, right, which we have shared. So first thing, Linux will validate the public key, that will be validated with private key. So public key and private key will have some sync up. Let's say some to validate this thing, whether this public key is correct or not, whether this guy is the right guy or not to log in. So it will be validated with the private key. We don't share private key to anywhere. We'll share only public key. Private key will be present in your laptop only. Wherever it is you're trying to log in. Got it? So like that, public will generate keys. Public key and private key will share the public key to server where we want to log in, and we log in. So internally, it will store the public key in known host file, and it will validate the the public key with the private key whenever you're logging in. So by default, those keys will be stored in .ssh. And important thing is, this .ssh folder present in user home directory, whatever the user it is. Let's say if it is root, there will be a .ssh folder inside /root. If it is Ubuntu, there will be a .ssh folder inside Ubuntu home directory. For every user is separate. So let's say you want to you generate a key. As which user you generated a key, that key belongs to that user. See, as a root you generated a key, the key belongs to the root user. You generated a key with Ubuntu user, it's belong to that user. Here something ready. If you generated a key here, it belongs to this user. So .sh is separate folder for each and every user. And while copying also will specify the user, because that's how we want to log in. We'll see that. Now, I told public and private key. What are the names? ID underscore RSA dot pub means public key. ID underscore RSA is the private key. Private key, as I told you, we don't share it. We'll share dot pub everywhere. Wherever we want to log in, not everywhere. So, how to generate a key and how to share it. I think in Windows also we can try the same command from Windows to Linux. If you have I think in Windows command line also SSH will work now. We can try, it's fine. Or if there is no option in Windows, create one more Linux machine and try from one server to another server. Currently this is a Mac which is Linux based only, so that's why, sorry, that's why I can able to log in. So yeah, that's okay. First, now generate a key. As I told you, the key is, I mean, the public key name is id underscore rsa.pub. Private key is id underscore rsa. The keys already exist in my laptop. Can I reuse that? Of course, you can reuse that. But let's generate again to see how it works. And will it work? Because the keys already exist. Yes, we'll generate with the new names. That's completely fine. There we can have multiple public keys, multiple keys. Let's keep it like that. Multiple keys. Keys means not just public key, including private key and public key. We call it keys. If someone says, "Do you have SSH keys?" It means you have private key and as well as public key also. Share your key. It means share to public key, not a private key. Remember that. So let's generate a key. You can generate anywhere in your system. It will come to .sh only. No need to be in .sh folder. I just came out. If you generate a key, it will go to .ssh by default. It's better to keep it there. No, instead of other. We can store it somewhere also, but don't. Got it? So now let's generate a key. The command is ssh-keygen. Sorry, that's it. That's it. If you want to pass extra, you can pass algorithm -t RSA is algorithm. Don't ask me full details about algorithm. It's an encryption algorithm actually. RSA is I think 3 guys who used to work at a Dell or something. They created this algorithm. That's why we call it RSA algorithm. I don't know full details, but it's not required. It's okay. It's an optional. ssh-keygen. That's the only command. Enter. See, generating public and private key pair. Enter the file in which to save the key. By default it will go to something, but I will give some alternative name because my key already exists. I don't want to remove that. It's asking for a password. No, obviously no, I don't. I mean, password for the key which we are creating. I don't want it for now. No, that's it. See, demo.pub is created. Let's go. See, demo.pub and demo. These are the default names. id underscore rsa, id underscore rsa.pub is the default names. Since it's already present, I just used a different name like this, demo. I mean, we have to give the full path where you want to store, including the file name. It will take it, and it will asking for the password. You want to set the password for what is it? The key which is created. No, I don't want it. So it will ask for again. Just simply click enter if you don't have any password, and that's it. It's saved. The key is saved. Now the key is ready. Just ssh-keygen. Now what's next? This key, public key, what is it? I need to share to Linux machine, right? So that I can log into the Linux machine without the password. That's the main goal. That's what we're achieving for. How to copy it? Again, you don't need to be in .sh folder. It can be anywhere. If you give the command, it will automatically copy this SSH key, public key, to the machine. So the command is ssh. Let me just clear it. I think it's clear, I guess. ssh-keygen. So now the command is ssh-copy-id. Where you want to copy. This is the command. This will automatically copy the demo file. Sorry, the public key, I meant to say. So here what happens is like we have to define, let's say how to say it, we are copying the public key, and of course destination will be sorry, what is it? The server. Here we have to give the user also, because as told, I mean, there are multiple users, right? So to which user you want to copy this key? Let's say I want to copy this key to root user. So here what happens is, you copy to root user. It means if you log in through SSH, you, root will allow you. Let's say you copy, sorry, what is that? To Ubuntu user, it means Ubuntu user will allow you to log in without the password, not the root. Remember it, what I'm saying. So you copy your public key to specific user in the Linux machine, so that that user will allow you to log in without password, not other users. So remember that. Got what I'm saying? Now sh-copy-id. Mm, what is the username? Ubuntu. I want to share my key to Ubuntu. What is the IP address or host name? Anything is fine, as I told you. If you observe, it's doing something. It's asking for a password. Obviously, I'm giving the Ubuntu user password, not local. And number of keys added. It's done. One key added. Now you try to log in into a machine with SSH Ubuntu at blah 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 and check, make sure all keys you wanted to override. No, now no need of password anytime. But if you see, this command is copied the key, right? But observe what it copied. It took the default ID underscore RS epoch, not the demo one which I created, because by default this will read only this default name and will copy it. But ours is demo.pub, right? If you have some different names other than default ID underscore RSA, you can pass here like this. Sorry. Now it's copying, see. Demo.pub why I gave, because my default key is using by something else. So I just want to show how to create a key like that. So this command will copy ID underscore RSA file. I mean the default, if the file has a default name. But you don't have the default name, you have something else, a different name. So you have to give like this -i, I mean the source which you want to copy, and to where destination, obviously. It's copied. Now you can able to log in. I can able to log in passwordless. If you observe, second time I copied the key, it did not ask for the password. Just for one time only. So 1 2. Done. See, no password, gone. No password, no key also, if you observe, because my ID underscore RSA is copied. I mean my public key is copied to the server. Let's go, and this is allowing me. Oh, sorry, my bad. Let's go to server. Still known host is, but yeah, if you observe here in authorized keys, okay, known host is not created because it's storing the keys in where it is, in here, authorized keys. See, this is what I copied from my laptop. This is my address, laptop, my user and my laptop host name. So the key whatever I shared, it's copied here, so that it will validate every time. So now I'm trying to log in. First it'll check this key. Hey, is this guy some guy logging in? Check whether their public key is present in our system or not. It will check it. So obviously a known host file. Okay, known host is not created. Authorized keys, it will check it here, and then if the public key is present in here, it will allow the user. How it will validate the public key? It will match with the private key. It will validate with the private key, whatever it's present in our laptop, and it will allow us to log in. If let's say there is no public key, you can't log in without a password. Still you are logging with key only internally, but Linux is taking care of that. Linux is taking care of that. So you don't need to bother about it. Got it? That's about passwordless authentication. Mostly we do this. I mean, password. Yeah, password we do that. Our passwordless authentication also we do it. Not the key based one, -I, not that one. That only for AWS login for sometimes initial we'll see, but later on we'll use this password authentication as well as passwordless authentication. So these are the three types of authentication types present in SSH. Any doubts so far? Anything? Any doubts? What is SSH? How it works? Why SSH? And what are types of authentication? How to use them? Configuration folder. It's generally not nowadays. Maybe earlier days they used to ask in interviews. Tell me the configuration file for SSH or configuration path /etc/SSH. See what I'm saying, /etc again. Not just don't say just etc /etc/SSH. There will be a file called sshd_config. That's the file. You want to change anything related to SSH, that's the file. Maybe tomorrow there will be one more protocol we'll discuss, HTTP let's say. There will be configuration for that also. It's separate will be there. But yeah, so far in doubts. Still the topic is not over yet, so we'll have two more comments. But yeah. Anything? If it is no doubts, we'll go further. I mean, same topic, SSH only. So now we are using SSH, to log into, securely to our Linux machines, which is fine. By using the same SSH, we can able to transfer the data between machines, one machine to another machine. To keep it simple, we can just copy the files or folders from one machine to another machine in Linux through SSH. Within the machine, within the Linux server, if you want to copy, you just what you use CP, right? CP source and destination, obviously, right? This within the machine, one machine. But now from one machine to another machine, I want to copy. So if you want to copy, only one way, using SSH only. First you have to make sure the SSH connection is established or not. That's what we have to do. And then copy the files. Let's say you have, of course, any of the authentication methods, three approaches are there, right? With a key pair, with a password, or without the password. Any of these methods you can able to use. That's completely fine to use. There is nothing wrong. But to log in, to copy your data transfer, from one machine to another Linux machine, we will be using SSH. There is a command called SCP. It is source copy. It runs on SSH. It works on SSH authentication method. Internally, we don't. We will use this command, but internally it uses SSH. It required SSH. So SCP, source and destination. That's it. CP within local. SCP means secure copy, where from one machine to another machine. Sorry. All right. Yeah, there is this resume.pdf or hotel. Some file. These are folders. Forget about that. Folders also you can copy. It's completely fine. Let's start with the file. I want to copy this resume.pdf. SCP. What is the source? Resume.pdf. What is the destination? Ubuntu at this IP address. IP address or hostname, anything is fine. So source. This is the source path. This is the destination address. I mean, to this user, as this user, I mean copy to this server, but to which path? The path I have to give, destination path. At the time it will come colon slash home slash ubuntu. So copy this file to this path in this machine using this user. Simple. Source and destination, that's it. Enter. See, it's copying and done. No password, because we have just enabled passwordless authentication. We have copied our public key to the Linux machine, so it won't ask for password. Never it will ask in a password until the key, public key, whatever we shared in the Linux machine is gone. It won't ask. Or if it is changed, it will ask. If it is changed, it will ask, hey, is that you really? Like that. You have to verify yourself. Oh yes, it will ask yes, and it will ask for the password. If you enter it, it will allow it again. So now, yeah, forget. Come here. It's copied. File 100% KB, bytes, time. Copied. Now let's log into machine. SSH. This is the machine, right? I'm inside Linux machine. See, it came. Easy, right? Now let's copy a folder, file, okay. SCP source and destination. Same thing for a folder is, except just one thing is -r you have to give. -r means recursively, obviously. Same thing how we did for a CP also. CP-r we give because a folder will have multiple files inside it and multiple folders inside it, right? So you have to copy everything. Game, that's a folder. Destination Ubuntu, and the path /home /Ubuntu. Why I am copying to this path? This user have access to this path only. You can copy it anywhere, whatever path you want. I'm just, for an example, just giving this, that's it. It will take some time based on the size of this folder. So it's copying everything. See, it will take some time, depends on files, obviously. Let's wait for a minute. See, file by file it's copying and it's showing you the process like this. Oh, it's still going on. I did not know this. It is this big. Okay, let it copy. Let it finish anyway. Oh my god. Yeah, almost done, I believe. All depends on the size, as I told you. The speed, the time depends on the size of the files, whatever present. It'll copy, that's okay. It'll just copy. Let it copy, that's okay. Yeah, finally done. Let's verify. Let's log into our machine. ls, it's copied. Why I'm taking ls here? Because that's the path I copied, home ubuntu /home /ubuntu. So it came, right? That's how you copy. You can get also, you can fetch also. Copy is copying from one source to destination, right? Fetch means fetch it from destination to source. Let's see. Let's create a file here. Test files, just for example. Now I'm in my laptop, right? So what we did earlier, We copied from our laptop to Linux server. This is called copy. Fetch means reverse. We are fetching from Linux server to our machine. That also we can able to do. Same command. Don't get confused. Except source and destination will change. That's it. Now source will be my current folder wherever I'm in. Destination will be office. Sorry, source will be this. I mean, whatever the server path. Destination will be my local path. Simple. SCP. This is the source. Sorry, test file. This is the source. Server path became the source. Destination path is dot because my current path wherever I'm in. It will fetch it to you. No password again because passwordless authentication is there and see test file came. See, if incoming is there, outgoing also should be there, right? Just one way does not work. There is no point of having one way work. If you recharge a mobile and they just give incoming only, no outgoing, there's no point of doing that, right? Both has to be there. Here also, you copied some content from your laptop to your server. Similarly, you have to get it from there. So you got it from there. Except the source and destination will change. Depends on your use case. See? Of course, I can delete it, obviously. Got it? That's about SCP. SCP means secure copy. I think I'm correct. Yeah, secure copy. All these commands present in that PDF which I shared. So don't need to worry. Go through again. Soon I'll do something about the videos. So that's about SCP. Just that's it. That's the only command it has. That's it. Any doubts? There is one more command. That's why the last command here in this topic. Any doubts in SCP? SCP source destination. That's it. Source whatever it can be. Destination whatever it can be. If there is an SSH communication established between the source and destination. Source means your laptop wherever you're copying from. Not just your laptop, some maybe another Linux machine, whatever it is. Destination is some other Linux machine. So you should have SSH connection between those two. Let's say I just created a new machine, some random new machine, and I'm using the same command with that server IP, new server IP or host name. It won't work because hey, you do not have SSH enabled to this machine. You cannot copy because this works on SSH. So without SSH, SCP won't work. That's the whole point of SCP. So if no doubts, I'll move to another command similar to SCP. So yeah, let's see. Let's go to that another command. rsync, no space, just rsync. Same thing, rsync, source, destination, rsync, source. What is the destination? This Ubuntu I want to copy. You can keep the slash or remove the slash, it's completely fine. rsync also does the same. But what is the point? What is the point here? What's the difference? Both are same, right? Except rsync, and here I just use SCP. But both commands are same, right? Except nothing changed really. But why I need to use rsync, not the SCP? It's rsync is most powerful for one reason. Let's say I just copied the game folder using SCP, right? Let's try again. Yeah, I copied it already. Again I'm copying. Let's see what happens. See, again it's copying everything. Of course, Control C, I don't need it. So SCP, what it does is it blindly copies it. If you tell something, it will do it. That's it. Hey, copy this folder. It will copy it. That's it. No matter how many times you copy it, it will do the same. Even the data, the folder, whatever you're copying, whatever data you're copying, it's already exists in the machine also, it will still copy it. I mean, there won't be two copies over there. It'll just keep only one latest copy and it'll delete the old one. But the point is, if it's already exist, why I need to copy again? I don't need, right? That's where rsync comes. Rsync copies only if it is not present. Only whatever it's not present. Only the differences. Let's say I have a game folder. I copied with rsync one time. Again I copied with rsync. Second time it won't allow. It won't copy because it's already there. You already copied. There are no changes. Until you change something in local and you're trying to copy again, it will work. Otherwise, there is no point. rsync won't do that. But SAP is not like that. SAP just blindly copies it. That's it. You just copy it. Even if it exists, it'll copy it. That's what it's doing so far here. See. Let's do with rsync once. Let's try. Slash. Let's copy to OPT. rsync. So rsync, we have to pass few things. -v verbose means it will show you what's happening. I think yeah, this is fine. rv is fine. rv is recursive obviously for the folder. Let's copy. See what it's saying. Permission denied. Okay, I cannot copy to /opt for codes. Yeah, let me log in. Let me do something. Let me delete the existing game folder. Or it's okay. Let's try. Nothing will happen really. I mean, I'm just trying to show you, that's it. It's copied. See fasterly. Compare it to SCP. See how fast it is. See? You observed, right? Too much fast. How much time SAP took? Slowly, one by one file. But now see, within seconds it copied. Within seconds it copied. Let's add one more option here. Simply A. A means in rsync, archive. So it will preserve the permissions, whatever it is there, etc. I mean, whatever the contents, not just the file data, the metadata, the name, permissions, time and everything, it will preserve it for the files, whatever we're copying. So it's copied. It's too much fast. And here it will copy only the data which is not present. Of course, it is showing the output because it's reading it, but observe the bytes transfer, it will be very less. Similarly, you can add one more option, Z. Z means compress. While transfer, it will compress it. Of course, it won't be a zip file and all after copied. While copying, it will transfer so that size will be less. It will transfer faster, and it will decompress again. It will store it as it is normally how we copied it. See, even more faster because we compressed it. That's how it works. Got it? So that's easy it is. I mean, with rsync, I mean, of course, you can use SCP also, it's nothing wrong, but rsync is faster and its copies exactly does not exist over there. Got it? So that's about rsync and SSH. rsync is not part of, I don't think it's part of SSH, but yeah, it's an command line only, but it still works with SSH only. Not part of an SSH package or anything. So rsync, the full form I forgot to tell, remote sync. rsync means SCP means secure copy. You can see there is nothing wrong to use anything, so you can use anything, that's completely fine. That's about today's topic, SSH, which is most commonly used. Of course, every day we'll use this. If you are practicing, so you might have used SS command. So that's about it. Any doubts so far? Anything? If nothing, yeah, we'll meet tomorrow, same time, and yeah, keep practicing. Got it? So yeah, that's it for today. Bye all. Bye.